Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, November 1992. Banker Annette Herfkens, her fiancé, and 29 other passengers board a small plane and head to the coastal town of Nha Trang for a vacation. But what is supposed to be a short routine flight is about to turn into a nightmare.
When I saw the plane, I didn't want to enter it because it was awfully small. I am very claustrophobic, and I said, there's no way I enter in that plane. I'm not going to go in there. It looks old, but mostly small. And my fiancé said, well, don't worry, don't you have to. It's only 55 minutes, and do it for us, because I have this beautiful vacation planned, and I knew you were going to speak up about it, but please, please do it. And then we entered from the back of the plane. So we sat down, we were told to buckle our seatbelts, and they were going across. And then I was restrained enough as it is, and I did not buckle my seatbelt. And the flight took off. For the next 30 minutes, I just kept counting the minutes. And the 50th minutes, there was a gigantic drop. And people were screaming. And my fiancé looked at me and said, well, this I don't like. And then another drop. More people screaming. And he reached for my hand, and I reached for his. And then everything went black. I woke up to this eerie sounds of the jungle. The plane broke in 3 pieces. The wings, the fuselage, and the cockpit. Then I looked at my left, and there I saw my fiancé still strapped in his seat. He was dead.
In shock, grief-stricken, and with her legs and hips broken, Annette painfully pulls herself out of the wreckage, only to find that every passenger on board has perished, except her. It all seems impossible.
In this plane crash, Annette was the only survivor. Of 31 people, she's the only one that survived. Did it have to do with just the randomness of her being in the right seat, that hit the ground in just the right place, that had just the right structural integrity based on how they crashed, or could it be something else?
When we hear stories of survival, we sort of imagine, well, can I learn from that? Could I do that? And many times we can't. Maybe they're lucky, or maybe there's just some X factor that we'll never really get our heads around.
We know the safest place is to sit on a plane, and we know generally our seatbelts will save us in the event of a crash. But this was the one instance where the seatbelt not being attached saved her. Who could have predicted that? There's too many variables at play.
Miles from civilization, injured and alone, Annette finds herself in an unbearable predicament. But somehow, from somewhere deep inside her, she finds a way to survive.
I felt this enormous energy lifting me up. I would just be quiet and listen to my instincts, just make it complete quiet. You breathe out all the way. And then you listen to this other voice we all carry inside of us. I completely thought that things will work out.
What's interesting to me about this case is that Annette attributes her survival to hearing this mysterious voice. I can only imagine what that must have been like. The plane has crashed in the Vietnam jungle. You have a broken hip. You're surrounded by wreckage, dead bodies, and here you have this voice telling you, don't lose hope.
I just listened to that voice and I acted on it. And it said, make a plan, divided in achievable steps. And when you achieve one of those steps, congratulate yourself. That's exactly what I did. I realized that I was gonna need some water. So I looked at the wing of the plane. The insulation material was some kind of foam. So I figured that could work as a sponge. And then I made 7 little bowls. And I lined them up for it to rain. And then it rained, and it poured. And then I was very happy to see these little bowls filling up with water. Tasted like the best champagne, as you can imagine.
She was able to survive the plane crash, but maybe what was even more remarkable is that she was able to survive 8 days in the jungle with no prior jungle training or experience.
On the afternoon, on the 8th day, out of nowhere, men came up the mountain and they showed me a passenger list. And I had to point out my name. And I just realized how amazing it was that they actually found me.
It may have been random chance that allowed Annette to live through the horrific crash. But what was the so-called voice that gave her the guidance she needed to survive?
A lot of people, when they get into dangerous situations, they'll say that they had a voice tell them that they needed to do this, they needed to do that. We don't really know scientifically where these inner voices that tell you to get out of the dangerous situation are coming from. Maybe there is something to this inner voice telling them the right way, and maybe some people have a better inner voice than others. And maybe there's just some dumb luck involved. It's possible that it's just one of those unexplained mysteries that we're never going to figure out.
We all have that voice inside of us that we can listen to. And in extreme situations, it's always there to help you. Just listen to that voice. Be silent, it's there, it's there.